Hey, what's happening, guys? It's Sanjoku. I broke out of work a little bit early. We're going to try to catch a few bass today. I only got about an hour, but we're going to see if we can make it work. We're got a real simple rig. It's just a 1/0 hook. We're going to be throwing a trick worm around. This is a Zoom trick worm. This is watermelon candy. These things are real easy to rig. Incredibly simple rig. We're going to test it out. We're going to get out in the water, hang out with these ducks for a little bit. Let's see if we can get into a few quick bass. First cast. Super peaceful out here today. We got some storms rolling in, so it should be a pretty good day. Hopefully I can get into a couple before I run out of time. I gotta go pick up dinner in about an hour. Pretty good way to spend the evening. It's the same place I had my boy at the other day. I just wanted to come back. He had a ton of homework. He was super upset he couldn't come with tonight. I mean, I told him it is what it is. We'll go out this weekend, try to get into a few. Bass fishing is a lot different than bluegill fishing. The bluegill are everywhere. For every like 25 bluegill, there's one bass. And unless you get into some of these stock ponds, that's just crazy. And I'm definitely not fishing one of those. But when you're fishing these trick worms, you can do it a lot of different ways. You can work these things fast across the top of the water in the summertime, in the mornings. That's a great way to do it. I like to work it slow, especially in the afternoons, kind of later in the day, just to see if I can get something to pick it up. You want to watch your line. You can still feel them when they pick it up. You could feel the little bumps and everything, but you need to watch your line, because sometimes they'll pick it up real soft and just start swimming in a different direction. And when you set the hook on these things, you got to set the hook hard. Springtime, a lot of these bass will be on their beds, which makes them a little bit tougher to catch, but not all of them are. You just got to keep working the water, work different areas, work different depths. That's a major part. You'll see a lot of bass that are sitting in these shallow waters. Those are a lot of the ones that are already on their beds and they're protecting their beds. So if you want to throw like a lizard or something like that, you can usually get like just a instant reaction strike from them. The ones that are sitting on their beds, I kind of like to leave them alone just because I know they're going to be hungry as soon as they get off their beds. But not every fish is spawning at the exact same time. You're going to have a few that are wandering around still feeding. And they'll be sitting in a little bit deeper water, just usually behind where the bluegills are, so they can charge up and just kind of take a shot at them real fast. But unlike the bluegills, bass fishing takes a lot of patience, takes a lot of skill. There's a million and one ways to catch a bass. This is just one of the easier ones for the people that are just getting started out. Just a trick worm and a hook, no weight, and then just try different retrieves. Try working it fast, try working it slow, try like letting that thing just sit on the bottom and then just give it a quick little twitch and then let it sit again. Sometimes they'll come by when it's just laying on the ground and pick it up, whether it's to eat it or just to move it off of like a deep water bed that you can't see. We're going to be walking around. We're going to test some different spots. We're going to try to hit as much of this shoreline as we possibly can. And I want to go over, I want to hit that storm drain a little bit. I don't want to creep too much on the buddy across the lake. But we saw a couple bass by where he is right now. So if he ends up taking off, we're going to try hitting it from a different angle. Sometimes that can be the difference maker too. Like that guy could fish that entire spot for the past 2 hours, not catch anything. You come over, cast from the right instead of casting where he's at, and the bass just see it coming from a different direction. That's what they've been waiting for all day, and you end up getting the fish. It's tricky like that sometimes. That little bluegill chasing all the other little bluegill around. Try to hit this shoreline out, try to work that storm drain a little bit. We looked at it yesterday. There's like a little rocky patch in front of it, and then it drops off pretty steadily right in front of it. It's a weird cast around that tree, but this is a little bit deeper water, so I wanted to hit this before I spooked it. All right, we're up on that little storm drain now. I'm gonna try to get a couple feet in front of it and just try to work it through that whole area. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's like a pretty steep drop off coming out of there, just so it can be able to drain in and drain out. But it should be a pretty good ambush point for any predator sitting waiting for something to come out of that pipe. See where somebody had a terrible cast. Ripped off part of the tree. It just left their line hanging. I was looking for a way to get out there and try to grab it. I just have no way of doing it today. To bring some stuff with me next time, see if I can get out there and just to clean it up a little bit. Alright, this time I casted more directly in front of that pipe. Try to come right over that rocky little shelf. I'm gonna take one shot straight out in the middle here, just let it sink down, work this whole little deep cove section. If we don't get anything here, we're gonna start working our way over. This one we're working a lot slower because it is a lot deeper of a section, so you need let your worm, you want to flick it up off the bottom and then just kind of let it flutter all the way back down. Usually as it's fluttering back down, that's when you'll take a strike. If they hit it while you're kind of flicking it up, you'll feel it for sure. But when it's just kind of fluttering, if they just go by and just kind of grab it, you really won't feel it until they start moving. But the earlier you can feel it, the faster you can set the hook. One, the better hook set you get, you'll have a better chance at actually catching the fish. But you'll make it's safer for the fish too, where it's just going to be hooked in the lip. He's not going to take it all the way down into his gut. Let's get out and try to work that point. All right, try to make our way out here without totally getting messed up. Oh, that's not good. Oh, look at those skills. All right, this is a pretty big drop off. It drops off on both sides. This point continues to go out a pretty long way. We're gonna work the side of it, try to stay in the deeper water and just see if we can get something. It's hard to tell, but I mean, if I have my waders on, you could walk this whole point for another good 30 yards. But we're just gonna work off the edges. There should be bass sitting off each side, just kind of feeding on the little bluegill that are swimming around on top. And whatever else kind of hits the water in this area. I'm gonna try to get out to the river this weekend and put the waders on. I might not even bring my waders. I might just go walking in. It's been pretty warm. That river usually stays pretty cold though. There's one. Right. Oh man, we lost him. He was right off that point, exactly where I thought he would be. I didn't set the hook hard enough. That one's on me. I was too distracted on this big ass goose coming at me. One of these geese was so angry yesterday. Chased me and the boy out of our spot. Let me see if I can get that bass to come back. Maybe scare that goose away with that cast. That was a decent sized fish too. We're gonna keep working this point. I believe I missed him. It's part of it though. Look at him. He's got his head down. He's just swimming pissed off. Don't turn your angriness this way. You just keep going. I swear, man, the other day that thing came like at us, like full speed at us. Squawking with his mouth open real big. I was like, dude, what the hell? Get our worm reset. I'm working this whole side of that point, trying to get a little redemption on that one we missed. Told you, man. That one goose, he's a jerk. Just chasing that other goose out of his spot. Start swimming over this way, you're gonna see a goose get smacked with a fishing pole. I can feel that I picked up a little bit of junk on that. All right, so we got almost caught 2 fish on this color. It did pretty good for us. I want to try something different before I have to take off. I'm going to hook on one of these Senkos. It's like a baby bass color. It's the official color of this. Watermelon lamb. These Senkos, you hook them, honestly you could hook these, you could wacky rig them, just hook them one time through. This is really way too grassy here for me to do that. So we're just going to continue just to hook it just like our trick worm. Just going to bring it through the top, push it over, turn it through. Run it back through just so you can feel the hook. That is ready to fish. Drop these back in the bag. Take our trash to the trash can before we start walking. The video, one of these next trips, I want to bring my little cast net out with me. Just try to catch some of these little bait fish swimming around, kind of cast them out just to see if anything will pop up and attack them. And that's it. Just keep walking and casting, man. Just enjoy being outside. Sure as hell's better than being at work. Looks like somebody had a cheesy puff party that went bad. It's hard to see when you're fishing structure like trees like this, like exactly what is underneath the water beyond these trees. It really, you can feel it. Make sure your hook's a little bit buried or you'll get snagged up immediately. But if you can start working it over these logs and let that drop on one side, or popping it over and let that drop on the side that's closest to you so you can bring the fish over, it's where a lot of the bigger fish are going to be hanging out. It's a lot, I mean, it's going to be a lot of snags. You're going to get caught up a few times. Don't get pissed, don't get frustrated. It's just part of it. Like this one log right here goes out. That's a good 25-30 foot just center of a tree trunk that's been in this water for probably 30 years. So I mean, it's all decayed. It's super soft. You can see, I can literally see lures attached to it. So I mean, it happens to everybody. It's not just you. Sitting on top of that log, I can feel it under the water. Come on, stay on. It's a nice one. Get up. Oh yes, there we go. There we go. There's a nice bass sitting right between those tree logs. Got him hooked real easy right on the bottom of the mouth. It's a good looking fish. Look at that. That first one that I missed over on that point was a he was probably about a 3-pounder, and then the second one I missed on that point was about this size. Good healthy bass. He looks really nice. He's got good colors, got a decent belly, got a good looking mouth on him. He's been eating good, man, you could tell. Thank you, little buddy. I appreciate you coming up. And there he goes. Whew, it's always nice to get that first one under your belt, especially after you've already missed 2. Oh man, he did a number on my worm. Kind of shredded that thing right in half. I wanted to show you guys this real quick. This is like a little overflow pond from the big pond. Sometimes it gets incredibly shallow to the point to where it looks like it's almost drained. But there's another lake across the street, and that pipe kind of connects the two. So whenever this overflows, it just all flows over into the second lake. It's just kind of like a system they have. There's a cool little waterfall that comes down. little bait fish get washed down this waterfall constantly, so there should, technically speaking, be a bass sitting at the end of this waterfall. So we're going to try to sneak down pretty quietly, just try to work that, and then work over in where you just saw that little fish jump. But there should be one coming out of this little spillway, kind of feeding on anything that gets washed out. If I didn't spook them, maybe we can get a decent shot at them. This whole spot's like a perfect little ambush point. And this is the kind of stuff you want to look for. And we'll walk over there in a second. I just want to take one or two more casts at it and hit that other shoreline and get a little closer to where it spills out, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This whole little point corner here should be, there's still fish sitting in here, and one should be hiding in this section somewhere. That's real shallow. You can see, because the wind isn't hitting this one as hard. I mean, this is maybe 3 feet deep all the way across. Let's take a walk up. See, it's a good little spot right in there. It drops off. It's all rock. Just kind of work these rocks, pop it off. That way it looks like it's something that's just kind of getting sucked down in the current. A cool little area. But it does. Gotta get down. It goes all the way back, and then there's a bigger waterfall beyond this. That's kind of like where the bridge is at. There's a bunch of little families sitting over there, so I don't want to go mess with them too much. Now you can't see in the water, but there's like a little school of those tiny little bait fish just chilling right here that all got washed down from the top lake. And so when a bass does eventually make his way down, they'll usually be chilling right in this little area. You just cast up as close as you can to this little waterfall, let it kind of get itself washed down so it looks natural, and usually by the time you get to the end of it, you're going to end up getting smacked by something. Let's take a walk over and see if I can get close to this drain. Make my way through Snake City. I think those were frogs that I scared off that shoreline. Just wanted to see if I saw a bass come cruising out. Now this one again, I'm going to stay way back. Don't want to get over there to where they can see me. Just try to work this little section. When you get into these lakes that are like really overfished, the fish can see you coming, And then they know if I see some food, I'm not going to eat it because it's going to have a big hook in it. So you got to try to outsmart these fish. I will on casts like this. I'll bring it all the way right back to the shoreline just because you never know if they're going to be sitting right there. It's like still pretty low. You can see the drain's not even that full. Pitch cast. I want to come right in front of the drain. Is there water? Be kind of a weird cast. I don't know how close I can get to this. I'm not wearing my big boots. Just pretty much came straight from work. Let's see if I can sneak one in there. That went pretty deep. See if there's one sitting in this drain. Not gonna lie, it'd be cool as hell if I pulled a big bass out of this drain. It's deep enough to where there should be one technically sitting back in here. Let's see if I can really sling one in. Skipped it. I'm gonna let the current, I mean the current's flowing. It feels like it's pulling my line a little bit. I don't think it's gonna be enough to move that Senko all the way through the drain under the street. I do a clump of something as soon as that hit the water. I popped off of it. Pretty cool little area though. This is probably where I'll come when I throw the cast net. Just try to get some bait fish, then bring them up to the main lake. Then there's a couple other little ponds that if I can get into enough of them, I'll just freeze them for catfish bait to bring to the river with me. One more shot out in the middle. I'll call it a day.